Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday. We have an amazing show, and let's go right into it because the NBA has decided to top the NFL. The NFL wanted to make it crystal clear, hey, we're not for you. We're bringing Bad Bunny in to do the Super Bowl halftime. We're not for families. We're not for Christians. We're not for believers. We're not for our traditional fans. We're doing outreach to the world and to the Spanish-speaking world and to the people that hate America and the people that hate Donald Trump and the people that don't want us to have borders. We're doing outreach to them. You traditional football fans, you men that have treated football like a ministry, we don't care about you. That's what the NFL said during the halftime of Super Bowl with Bad Bunny. Well, the NBA, the National Basketball Association, has told the NFL, hold my G-string. We're bringing in Bad Bunnies. The Atlanta Hawks are just days or shortly away from a Magic City night, March 16th. Magic City, for those of you that do not know, is an infamous, notorious black strip club in Atlanta, Magic City. Magic City's referenced in all kinds of hip-hop songs. Magic City, shaking titties, blah, blah, blah. It's all over hip-hop. The Atlanta Hawks are telling you, hey, NBA game, March 16th, NBA in general, it's not for families. It's not for traditional sports fans. It's for degenerates. It's for people that spend a lot of their free time the way that I used to spend my free time, inside of a strip club. It's for single men. It's for men that aren't serious about marriage. It's for men that want to sexually objectify women. We're having Magic City night during an NBA game. This is the biggest sign yet. They don't care about traditional sports fans. They don't care about families. They don't care about morality. They don't care about anything other than promoting degeneracy. T.I. will be there, the rapper T.I. performing, I think, pregame, maybe at halftime. They alerted everybody, look, we're not inviting strippers, but we're having a Magic City night. This is insanity. Yes, I have been to Magic City. I'm not someone that I'm not some prude. I'm not for, hey, let's illegalize strip clubs. But it would be nice. But I'm not for that because it would never fly. It's not going to happen. But this whole centering, this whole, like, there's nothing private anymore. There's nothing forbidden. There's nothing that we won't put jammed down kids' faces. Let's say you're a parent in Atlanta and you're going to a basketball game celebrating an infamous strip club where dope dealers and rappers are the biggest celebrities inside a strip club. Let's be real about what Magic City is. Magic City is a whorehouse. And the NBA is now celebrating that. And we're going to have lemon pepper chicken wings. And look, I'm a chicken wing aficionado. I've had the lemon pepper chicken wings at Magic City. They're not that great. Again, I'm not calling them bad, But this whole this is what defines Atlanta and we need to celebrate this in Atlanta. What are we doing in sports? This morning, I was on my friend Sidney Rosenberg's WABC radio show in New York. And I was making the point to him that the whole world is upside down, and the way to correct the world is to focus more things on prioritizing the family. And I was telling him that it's just the opposite. Everything is focused towards the individual, the irresponsible person, the person with low morality. We have to make sure they feel comfortable and welcome and included in everything. And virtually nothing is directed at the traditional family man and woman. And I told Sid this morning, because I was like, Sid, it's funny we got on this topic. It's consistent with what I'm going to be talking about on my show this morning. That even you go to a sporting event, which used to be like, hey, a father would take his son, a father would take his son and daughter. A family would go to a sporting event together and go, look out there, son, daughter. Those are role models. Those are some of the best people in society. They work hard. They come together as a team. They put aside their differences. These are the best and brightest. These are the people that have bought into traditional values and use them to excel. As a family, let's go to a basketball game. Let's go to a sporting event. Let's go to a baseball game. Let's go to a football game. And remember, was it just last week where Mark Cuban was explaining to people like, hey man, competition doesn't matter. No one cares about tanking. Tanking is actually a good thing. What the NBA has to lean into, Mark Cuban said this, what the NBA has to lean into is the overall experience. This is about people on a date night and the social event, what cocktails they had, what entertainment they had. It's about the social experience. And so here's the NBA saying, yes, that's what it's about. We're having a strip club night. We're inviting T.I. to be the host of our strip club night. It's about the social experience. It's not about, hey, come see the Atlanta Hawks take on the Los Angeles Lakers or whoever they're playing, the Memphis Grizzlies. Come see this great basketball exposition or exhibition. No, come to this social event where we're going to serve you lemon pepper wings from Magic City, and we're going to celebrate Atlanta's reputation as a great strip club city. They've snatched and stolen sports from Christians. I don't know how many times I have to tell you, but I want to tell you until you get it. Christians, the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA, organized sports across the globe in the mid to late 1800s, came to America, organized sports. Sports used to be about promoting Christian values. Sports have been stolen from Christians, and now it's about promoting secular values. It's about leaning into sexuality. We're not far from OnlyFans night, where OnlyFans whores are celebrated at NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball games. How do you bring your kids to this? They don't want you to. They want other sexual degenerates to come to the game. Whatever kids get dragged into this, they get normalized, socialized, groomed into, yeah, Being a stripper, it's something to aspire to. Being an OnlyFans model, it's something to aspire to. So, jamming sex into everything is something to aspire to. The sports world, which, the tradition was like promoting good, wholesome values. It's now the complete opposite. When I saw this story this morning, I nearly fell out of my chair. And the way ESPN presented the story was somewhat without controversy. Without like, hey, there's women's groups that are upset and are calling for Adam Silver to step in here and prevent the NBA from doing this. And this is like a test for those of us that claim to have Christian values, because because of our values, we complain about LGBTQIA plus silent P nights. Will we complain about this? Because it's an apple from the exact same tree. Sexual degeneracy being promoted. And just because I used to love going to strip clubs, just because I'm not repulsed by strip clubs, doesn't mean I should not object to the further sexualization of sports and the grooming of kids into seeing their sexual identity as their primary identity. I just didn't think I would live long enough, or didn't think this world would be corrupt enough to go down this path, that the NBA would be this desperate, that the product is so bad that they have to put TNA out there to help sell it. And there may be some of you all laughing and I'm like, hey, Jason, what do you think they've been doing with the cheerleaders for years? What do you think the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders were? What do you think the Atlanta Hawks cheerleaders were and are? They're now just coming out of the closet with it. That, it is what it is. This is what the NBA, I could imagine the NBA players will be celebrating this. Like, they're co-signing and patting us on the back for promoting strip club culture within sports. Here's the other group that will be tested by this. What do you think the WNBA and the feminist movement, what do you think they're going to come down on this? You would think that the WNBA would be like, hey, this is an outrage. We're denigrating women. These strong leaders that we're promoting in the WNBA. Why would our parent company, the NBA, be promoting the antithesis of us? WNBA players overwhelmingly are not candidates to be strippers. WNBA players, the reality is, though, I would imagine WNBA players will all have courtside seats for this Atlanta Hawks game, and they'll bring $1 bills to throw out onto the court to make it rain. Because I would imagine WNBA players like Magic City. I would imagine WNBA players probably have friends or girlfriends that work at Magic City. The entire sports world is being used as a platform and a promotional tool for sexual degeneracy and for the grooming of young people and for the grooming of women into believing that their value is all defined by their rear ends, their vagina and their breast. That's what's being communicated here. This is anyway. I'm going to bring Steve Kim, the Korean co-cell, Dr. Dre Baldwin, and Skapinac into this conversation. Before I do that, though, Dre's just announced he's here. Have we said anything to Dre about every time he checks in, we get the recording in progress audio? Does that play on the show, or do I just hear that in my ear? Oh, that's just us. That's just okay. So we don't need to correct that. But anyway, before I do that, I want to take a moment to promote Fearless Mission and what we have going on at the Blaze TV and how you can support and why it's important. This entire mono I just gave you at the top of the show. This is why what we're doing here at Fearless and in conjunction with Blaze is so important. The Blaze has been leaning into its brand as a Christian influencer. And I've been so thrilled with that. It's always been there, but now we're leaning into explicitly telling you all, like, hey, man, this platform is for those of you that are believers. And for those of you that are interested, let's say you're not a believer, but you're interested in exploring a better way, ways to correct the chaos, ways to correct what the Atlanta Hawks are doing, ways to desexualize sports and make it more wholesome and more appropriate for young people. And that's because we've walked away from a biblical worldview and we now have a very secular worldview, and we now think that sex defines us and that we're all here just for pleasure. Well, we're not. And if we want some of this chaos removed from this society, many of us, all of us, are going to have to return to a biblical worldview. And we try to promote that certainly here on this show, on Fearless, and certainly throughout Blaze. And that's why I invite you and try to tell you it's very important that you support us in a real way. You don't have to agree with everything that has to do with Blaze politics. But Blaze, the moral values we try to promote, the biblical worldview that cleans up the chaos that we try to promote, I really think you should consider supporting us. A subscription is $100 a year. If you use my promo code FEARLESS, you'll get $20 off your yearly subscription. Go to fearlessmission.com. It's important. I'm just going to tell you why it's important because, like, let's say Gavin Newsom becomes president post Donald Trump. A lot of these freedoms that you're taking for granted, they're all going to go away. If the Democrats get back in control, or we get a weak Republican president in comparison to Donald Trump, these freedoms are going to be taken away. The ability to quote scripture, to quote the gospel, to promote the gospel is going to be stripped away. There will be a penalty paid. Like all of these content platforms, because Trump's in office, and I'm not saying Trump is the perfect figure, but because he's in office and they fear him, I'm allowed to do shows like we do every day that are completely fearless and completely try to promote a biblical worldview. That's going to go away. There will be a financial price that anybody that talks like me will have to pay. And that's why you have to support the individual platform. Blaze TV. If you become a subscriber to that, they can't financially punish me or us. They can't use an algorithm against our point of view spreading and being promoted. Please go to fearlessmission.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS. Become a subscriber. It's important. Let's bring in our panel here. Steve Kim, Dr. Dre Baldwin, and Jay Skapinac. I don't know who to start with, so I'll start with the Korean co-cell. because I don't know where he's going to come down on this. He's probably. Have you bought tickets to this Atlanta Hawks game, Steve, or are you offended by it? I mean, I just think this is crazy, Steve. Your thoughts?
It might be, but I'm actually, boy, I hate to be cynical about this. The fact that they're actually using a gentleman's club and not some LGBTQ club, you can call it progress. I mean, if the Miami Heat ever do like a Tootsie's night, I'm gonna tell you, I may not be available. I'll just be honest. I'll be on the disabled list. But could you imagine the load managing that would go on for that road trip? But here's the difference, where I think it's interesting. We have to make this distinction. Most people do not take their kids to a Magic City, but they do take them to a ball game. I don't understand why they're trying to meld the two, but again, it is the lowering of standards, and sports mirrors culture, and culture mirrors sports. It goes hand in hand. It all works together.
Hey, hold for a second here. Why does this promotional deal say Hawks versus Magic? Again, whoever put out the promotional deal doesn't realize the home team is listed second, but they're playing the Orlando Magic. Some people will think, well, this game must be in Orlando, and Magic City is a promotion of the Orlando Magic, but actually the game's in Atlanta, and they're promoting Magic City. Anyway, that just caught my eye. I don't know why I didn't see that earlier this morning. But, Steve, what do you think of my position that, like, this is worse than Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl, that it's just furthering that narrative?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, these ladies, I think they're very pro-American. Bad Bunny was not. I mean, I'm assuming most of these young
you ain't
ladies.
been to Magic City. They may not be pro-American. There are a lot of BLM supporters. A lot of BLM supporters in Magic City.
I will rescind that statement. You make a point, but at least you can communicate with them in English. I mean, I will say that. But look, Atlanta used to be an oracle. You know, I've read a lot of the stories. They had a black mayor way back when. It was known as like this oracle of black progress and leadership and upward mobility.
Martin Luther King.
And everything that I've seen the last 15, 20 years, it has become a den of decadence, and not in the good way. So this is all really part of its new profile, for better or worse.
Scap, as a white man, as the only white man in this conversation, are you offended they didn't go with Pink Pony or Cheetahs, clubs that, if you're going to go with bunnies, why wouldn't you go with snow bunnies? Perhaps that. Anyway, your thoughts on this? It's your league. You follow it. Are you surprised by this?
Well, Jason, I am offended personally. I am disgusted with this. I have to offer a full-hearted condemnation. I mean, I can't believe when I saw this topic and I saw your lead-in, I literally couldn't believe my eyes. March 16th against the Magic? The strip club GOAT, Jimmy Harden, comes to town on April 10th with the Cleveland Cavaliers, a guy who has his jersey famously retired in a strip club for dropping $1 million in one single night. And they missed that opportunity. I mean, look, Harden did break his thumb recently, so I don't know if his money hand will be affected in that. But he could get one of those little cash guns, and we could even shooting money out on the course during the whole game. A massive missed opportunity by the Atlanta Hawks. I'm very, very disappointed in that regard. And I'll tell you this, Jason, as well. I'm also disappointed in this half-hearted measure by the Hawks. We've been talking about how the NBA has bad leadership, how they just do half measures. Look, why not just bring the strippers in? You said there's not going to be any strippers. Just bring them in there. Let's just turn this into a whole night out. Go see an NBA game and hit the strip club all in one. I don't understand. This is what Mark Cuban was talking about, Jason, a few days ago when he talked about, ramping up that fan experience. This is it. We're in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think if they brought the strippers in, it wouldn't be a half measure. So do with that what you will. Dre, Scap is married. You're married and have a kid. What do you think of this in terms of, you're much younger than me, but these aren't the traditional values and, typical promotions of sports that I grew up used to as a father and a husband. What do you think of what the Atlanta Hawks are doing here?
Well, harking back to what Steve said, I think, Steve, you it's called the professionally unable to perform list, or euphemistically load management. We won't go into that. But with this whole thing, Jason, is we got to look at the team who's doing it. Is the Atlanta Hawks. There are great strip clubs in New York. There are great strip clubs in LA. I live in Miami. There are great strip clubs here. But when you go to the game in Miami or LA, you look up in the rafters, what do you see? You see banners because they win championships. So they don't have to do gimmicks because they focus on the quality of the product. The Atlanta Hawks don't have much to celebrate on the court. So they end up resorting to gimmicks like this because they don't have anything better to offer. As far as what you're asking me about the family aspect of it, I wouldn't want to bring my child to a game like this because my child is going to ask me, well, what is that? Who is Magic City? What is this about? Why is the team doing this? If I was a season ticket holder, I would have a real issue with this with the Atlanta Hawks organization. And I don't know what their explanation is for why they're doing it as far as what they would say to their, let's say, corporate executives who are paying for those box seats. They need to come up with some answer for this. And Adam Silver also to the powers that be within the league who may have a problem with this. Now, the world that we're in, as you talked about, the standards are getting loosened. Steve talked about this as well. The standards are getting loosened and lowered to where stuff like this just becomes normal. But I don't think we should just accept it to just flood into places that it normally wasn't at just because more people have come to accept it. So the Hawks and the NBA, I think, need to answer to this for the family aspect of the NBA because most of their money is still corporate money.
It's funny that, having some sort of pleasant, positive, non-negative engagement with Donald Trump would cause major controversy, but a team having a strip club night doesn't seem to, again, the way the ESPN unpacked this story, it wasn't in some controversial fashion of like, hey, we called the league office, we want to know where Adam Silver comes down on this. Steve, I think this is a bad look for Adam Silver, and it just anything goes. That like you can just, who knows how other NBA owners feel about this, but you can just go off script and do whatever you want in Adam Silver's league. Steve,
Jason, you mean it's just another day for Adam Silver? This is par for the course. I'm fond of saying, Confucius say, the standards you set for somebody is what you think of them. You could also say the way you market to somebody is what you think of them. Honestly. So this doesn't really surprise me that you would go down this road. Jason, we talked about this a couple years ago. Didn't the Dodgers actually have an LGBTQ night?
yeah,
And a lot of the people just boycotted. And
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to that since. But I think a lot of this is virtue signaling. For those who would, you'd say, complain about it, like how would the WNBA players feel about it? Well, I've been told for 3-4 years that sex work is work and there's dignity towards it. I'm not making a judgment. And I've been told that it's empowering to women. So if they are the ones that are going to be the most vociferous in their protests over this, well, you're being the hypocrites, not anyone else. That is the reality of that situation.
Scap, Adam Silver. This is a horrible look for him, in my opinion, but I don't think there'll be any repercussions.
I mean, of course there won't be. I'm sure that I don't want to make any assumptions, but I would imagine that these teams, individual teams, have to run by these promotional events or promotional nights with the league for some kind of clearance in advance. So I'm certain that they're not just springing this, strip club night on the NBA and on Commissioner Adam Silver out of absolute nowhere. So this is something that he's probably known about and ultimately was okay with. if it's got to the point of we're seeing a story on ESPN about it.
Dre and Steve, you follow in behind on this. Take the Jamel Hills, the Sarah Spains, the Mina Kimeses of the world. Where do we think they'll come down on this? Will they the Maria Taylors? Will they object in any way? Dre?
I don't think they would object. I think they would object to the objection that's happening right now. I think they would push back on anybody objecting to it and say, well, hey, what about what's happening over here on this side? Why isn't anybody mentioning this thing or that thing? I think that would be the more safe angle because, again, those are women working in those clubs and often women of color working in those clubs. So I don't think those women you mentioned are going to have a problem with this if it draws in fans, if it draws attention, it gets people clicking, talking, and it drives content. I think the bigger picture here is that Adam Silver, dissimilar to David Stern, he doesn't quite know who he is identity-wise. He seems to be open to a little bit of anything, a little bit of everything, as opposed to David Stern, who knew exactly where he stood on pretty much everything. If you hear about Allen Iverson told the story, when he was going to put that rap album out, David Stern called him to his office in New York and read him the Third Degree and told him what would happen to him if that album released and that album never came out. Because David Stern knew exactly what he was about and what he wasn't about. And Adam Silver seems to be open to a little bit too much of everything, which makes you weak as a leader.
Steve, is there any woman at ESPN or any woman in the sports media universe? What's her name? Katie Nolan? Anybody you could think of that might? Maybe it's Christine Brennan and Sally Jenkins. Anybody that will object.
For the perennial malcontents that you mentioned, for them to object to this would be a direct betrayal of what they have espoused for the past 3-4 years, women's empowerment and all that other stuff. So I don't think that they will. When it comes to Adam Silver, here's the problem. When you give up an inch every single time, you end up giving up the whole basketball court, 94 feet. Okay, so that is the danger of lowering the standards. People say, well, we should make an exception here, and then there, and then there. Then it becomes a point there are no standards. You don't just lower the standards. You actually have no standards. And this is the point that it's gotten to. But, this whole Magic City thing, this is a true story, Jason, which got Magic City. Miami had a player, wide receiver in the mid-'90s. His name was Magic Benton. That was actually his real name. Did you know his dad actually named him after that club? The first thing that came to mind. So it is an iconic place. Magic Benton. Yeah.
I'll throw in a little tidbit too. The owners of Magic City are former Duke football players.
What?
Yeah, they
Really?
They're older. They played with my lawyer, who was a safety at Duke long ago. But yeah, they're former Duke football players. So maybe Grant Hill and Christian Laettner will come to Magic City night in support of the guys at Magic City. All right, let me move on to a game last night that I found very interesting. Skap, I'll come to you first on this. The no-name Phoenix Suns. No Devin Booker, no Dillon Brooks, no problem. Without Devin Brooks, without Dillon Brooks, without Devin Booker, they knock off the Lakers, who LeBron played 35 minutes, Austin Reeves played 36 minutes, Luka Doncic played 39 minutes. Somehow the Phoenix Suns, with a no-name roster out there, the only player that I could recognize was Grayson Allen, and he came off the bench and shot 9 of 24 from the field. I didn't recognize any of the rest of these guys. They beat the Lakers on a night when Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves were all in. What does that say about the Lakers? What does it say about the Phoenix Suns?
Well, it says what we've been saying for roughly the last 3 months, and basically what we've been saying since the Luka Doncic pairing with LeBron James, that it just isn't going to work. And that's why when the trade was made, I was obviously rubbing my hands together like some maniacal villain in the background watching on, because it's going to look bad. the optics are going to be terrible because Luka Doncic is a top 3 to 5 league-wide NBA player that LeBron James is upgrading a top 10 guy whenever he's healthy in Anthony Davis to a top 5 guy in Luka Doncic, and yet that's downgrading the overall roster because the fit, it is just not, it is a programmatic non-fit between Luka, LeBron, and now you can throw in Austin Reeves. And everybody knows it. That's the thing. Like, the opponents know it. The coaching staff for the Lakers know it. JJ Redick spoke to it last night in his post-game press conference. He said, oh, well, we are trying out new lineup combinations. We talked about it before the game, letting Luka and AR play a lot more together, and then just having LeBron play by himself in other instances. That's basically paraphrasing, but a direct quote from JJ Redick. So essentially, yeah, I'm trying to hide LeBron away from those two guys, but eventually, again, the problem is that will be the closing lineup. They're going to all start, so they're going to start the game off, play at least 6 to 8 minutes of the first quarter, and then they're going to be the closing lineup at the ends of games, and they're going to be in close games. Like, this isn't an elite team. They're not going to have massive differential no matter who they draw in the first round. So it's as plain to see as day, Jason. They're going to lose in the first round. They did last year. They did the year before. They have 6 out of the 8 years LeBron has been in LA. Have they either missed the playoffs altogether or lost in the first round? So only 2 times in his 8-year tenure will they have won a single playoff round. And it's over. We might as well just book it in here for the LA Lakers. It's a first round exit. It doesn't matter whether they draw the Timberwolves, the Rockets, or whoever, the Spurs, the Thunder, the Nuggets. The Lakers can't beat any of those guys in a 7-game series in the first round.
Can they be competitive with any of those teams in a 7-game series? Could they win 2-3 games in any of those series?
This is going to sound crazy to say, but honestly, well, no. But I think the team that they would probably, of all the teams I just mentioned, like, Denver looks pretty bad right now. Houston has a lot of issues in clutch time. But honestly, they kind of play Oklahoma City tight for whatever reason. They did last year. Luka Doncic actually beat, I know it was with Dallas, but he beat the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder in 3 playoffs ago. In 6 games, I believe, in the second round, where the Thunder were the 1 seed in the West and favored to win that series. Luka kind of owned the Thunder in that playoff series. And then, they played them tough to the Lakers the last couple years. So I don't know what it is. It's just a weird matchup. I think Oklahoma City is the best team in the NBA. I think they will ultimately win the NBA championship. But it's just not a tremendous matchup with them in LA. Some of those other teams that I mentioned would just absolutely rout the Lakers.
Dre, what does last night say? No Devin, no Dillon, no problem. Does that say something good about the Suns or something horrible about the Lakers?
Well, it's both. Names win headlines, systems win games. So the Lakers, they got the big names, but there's no chemistry between those 3 guys. And Skap has already talked about this. Those 3 guys together just don't fit well. They're all perimeter based. They all need the ball, and they all do their best when the offense is kind of heliocentric based around them. Reeves can play as the 2A or the 1A guy to Luka, but LeBron doesn't fit if he's not the main guy. He's never been not the main guy. And it's obvious now, even though they have these big names, but that makes it worse because for the Lakers, with 3 big names, nobody's going to take a back seat. And the only one who would be LeBron. And he's been the man for 20 years. He's not taking a back seat. So the whole team is going to suffer because of this. As far as the Suns, they have a good team there. A lot of people thought that team was going to fall after they got rid of Durant. Bradley Beal's gone. And it's just Booker there. People didn't know that Brooks will take the jump that he's taking, but they have a good team. They are very well coached, and those guys are playing for each other. That's the reason why they win. And in the NBA, the talent difference between one team and the next, even the best team and the worst teams in the league, it's a very small difference. So on any given night, any team can win a game. And when a team's playing together with chemistry versus a team that doesn't have it, like the Lakers, anybody can be beat.
Did we grab the pictures, Luke, of there was a picture of like the Lakers, that picture, on the bench, and people saying like there's no chemistry here. These guys don't like each other. Dre, are they making too much of a picture here, or when things don't work on a basketball team chemistry wise, does it turn into like, hey, they don't like each other?
Well, you could take anything out of context. Technically, you could be making too much of that picture, but it doesn't mean the picture's wrong. So this team, you can see on the court, the actual results on the court and the stats, the advanced stats to back it up, that this team does not have proper chemistry. And with those three guys, none of them seems like the type of guy to stand up in the middle of the locker room, and they're not the call everybody else out type. I don't know much about Reeves, but Luka's not that type. And LeBron is kind of that type, but LeBron has a very heavy passive aggressive streak. So that compounds the problem between those three guys.
Steve, you live in Los Angeles. You can't stand the Lakers during the whole LeBron James era, but I know they won the bubble title, and people will try to justify. But the LeBron James deal in LA has to be considered a complete failure. No?
You know what the best part of every end of Lakers season? We're 1 year closer to not having LeBron. Get that carpetbagger from Akron out of my life. Seriously. There's a phrase, greater than the sum of its parts. The Lakers are just the opposite. And to what Dre mentioned, effort matters. And I'm looking at some of these clips, and it is alarming. Look, we get it. They don't have Michael Cooper out there and Kobe Bryant out on the wing. Okay? And they don't have a guy that's going to protect the rim like a young Bill Russell. But you got to try. The effort is bad. And I heard a couple days ago, someone said, well, Magic wasn't a good defensive player. No, he was not. But let me just tell you one thing about someone that watched 95% of the games he ever played. He was a good team defensive player. He understood rotations. He at least gave an effort. And people don't realize this. When he faced a really quick point guard, you know what they did? They just told Byron Scott to guard him, and they switched off. It was never really a problem when Magic was your best player and he never made all defense, because he never really got torched all that often, because guess what? He actually gave an effort. LeBron's effort on one side of the ball, I think, is absolutely shameful. And the problem is J.J. Redick, his podcast partner, does not have the power to actually sit him down. Because you look at, forget the picture. Look at the body language and the facial expression and the grimaces of J.J. Redick. I actually think that's much more telling than a single shot of two guys at the opposite ends of a bench.
Skap, I think that we could get into the postseason, into the first round of the playoffs, and J.J. Redick, in a desperate attempt to make sure he's not collateral damage, he could sit LeBron in some fourth quarter situations in the postseason. I could see him getting that desperate, knowing like, hey, look, I only got 2 or 3 more games left with LeBron, and if he hates me on the way out the door, so what? I got to do what's best. I got to try to steal a game or two here. Could you see a scenario in the first round of the playoffs where they sit LeBron in the fourth quarter?
It would have to be delicately camouflaged. I think a way situationally he could work that within the game. The gameplay would be like, sit Luka and AR, play Luka and AR the entire third quarter, sit LeBron like the second half of the third quarter. Then you sit both Luka and AR to start the fourth. You bring LeBron in then to play the first like five minutes of the fourth. Then you strategically take him out, rest him a little bit in the middle of the fourth, get his legs nice and fresh for the end of the game. And then maybe you just can't find a way to get him back in, at the end of the game. Like that would pretty much be the only, or you put him back in if the game's out of reach, either way. That would be kind of the only way. I don't think it wouldn't be able to be known that is precisely what J.J. Redick is doing. I don't think Redick can go into the locker room and face LeBron James if it looks like he's intentionally benching LeBron in decisive moments in the playoffs.
Any chance, I would ask Steve this, but I already know his answer. Any chance between now and the end of the season that LeBron kind of concedes that, hey, this isn't working, and he's willing to sit a bit more? Because I was a little bit surprised, like, man, 35 minutes last night? Could we see LeBron's minutes dip to 29 where he acknowledges like it's best that I only play in certain situations. Any chance LeBron's ego allows that?
Jason, have we been watching the same guy for the last 23 years, you and I? Definitely not. That if anything, he would get on the line with buddy Rich Paul and say, "Hey, Rich, it's time. I think it's time for you to light up a pod with Max Kellerman. Start talking about benching Luka or Austin Reeves. Take your pick. I don't care. And about how maybe I need more minutes. That would be the only scenario I could see maybe is him trying to get one. Remember, they were talking about was Rich and Max. They were talking about maybe trading Austin Reeves earlier in the year. So I think it would be one of those two other guys that would be a more likely scapegoat or sacrificial lamb, if you will, versus LeBron James.
Dre, I want to play this clip of Shannon Sharp suggesting that the Lakers can't win with Luka and Reeves, and get your reaction.
Ball better than you did. It's just they're bad. They're bad basketball team. Now I know everybody's saying, well, LeBron needs to leave, but if you think LeBron leaving, and they load up on the backcourt with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, if you think the Lakers are a championship contending team, they're not a championship contending team. Don't get me wrong. They're not a championship contending team with LeBron. They're not. They're not going to be a championship contending team without LeBron.
I have a question. I mean, and whose bright idea is it to say LeBron leaves and that fixes the issue that they have?
Well, the thing is, Ocho, is that Austin Reeves is going to be a free agent. And so you're going to have to max him out. You already got Luka on a max contract. Austin Reeves is going to get $200 million.
Is it going to be there? Is it going to be with the Lakers? Obviously.
I don't think they let him go. I don't think you can. Now you got Luka. I mean, you got Luka, but a lot of times Luka numbers doesn't correlate to winning. When a guy has 41, 8 and 8, you're like, damn. He only had 3 turnovers, which is I mean, he leads the league in turnovers. But he had a couple of steals, but he just can't play defense, Ocho. He just can't. He's never going to be able to play. Tonight was a little better as far as arguing with the refs, because every time he's arguing with the refs, he's doing this, he's looking for a call, he's running calls, and but that's who he is. So we might as well move on past that. Say, Luka, stop arguing. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not. And he said, well, I need to stop arguing with the officials. You can't. That's who you are. That's your makeup.
That's him.
Sounds like he's describing Caitlin Clark to some degree. And I'm wondering, Dre, is LeBron giving us a reason not to point out that maybe Luka's not all he's cracked up to be?
Well, what Shannon was saying, there's a bit of a straw man argument, actually a full straw man, because what he's saying is the team's not a championship team now, but if you take LeBron off, doesn't make him a championship team. Well, that's not the question. The question is, how do we set this up so that the future of the organization, which is Luka and Austin Reeves, are best set up so that we can start building the team around them that will be a championship team? Doesn't mean they got to become championship just by making one move and dropping LeBron. Second thing is that Shannon Sharp, I believe, is a little bit team LeBron. That was him at the game that was about to fight some players from the Memphis Grizzlies a couple of years ago, right? So Shannon's a little bit team LeBron. So we had to take what he says with a grain of salt. And the third thing, when it comes to what Shannon Sharp had to say and your question, the Lakers team, yes, Luka does need to play a little bit better defense, or they need to get better defenders around him to make up for what he can't do. Allen Iverson was not a great defender, but that Sixers team, they built a great team around him in 2001, the year he won MVP. There's a lot of players who are not great defenders, but they were great offensive players. You build the right team around them, you can still be contenders. But you can't have 3 guys who are all minus defenders and also not in good chemistry as your top 3 and think that's going to contend. Who's the one that's closest to being out of the door? It's LeBron James. Everybody knows that. And again, Team LeBron, which includes a lot of people, Shannon Sharp included, they are going into, and I don't know if this is quite damage control, but they're floating things out there that they need to float out there.
Jason.
Yeah.
To what Shannon said, and I want to add to what Dre talked about. With Allen Iverson, I remember he played with guys like Jerry Stackhouse early on. It didn't work because it was not a complimentary player. It was not till they got Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, who understood I'm never going to have a single play called for me. My job is to cater to AI and get out of the way and do all the dirty work. So that's what the Lakers need. So I don't understand this from Shannon. So you really want to build around a guy that's not build, but you want to center your team around a guy that's in his 20 some odd year, past the age of 40? You got to go with Luka, and I'm going to go with the Lakers example again. I know it's not a perfect comparison. The early Laker teams with Shaq and Kobe, when Del Harris was our coach, actually had more talent top to bottom. They were a deeper team. But guys like Cedric Ceballos and Nick Van Exel simply were not complementary players. So you had to get moves. You had to make moves to understand that, hey, Kobe and Shaq are going to be the complete centerpiece. Everyone else has to be a role player like Robert Horry and guys that'll defer like Derek Fisher. So in other words, less is more. So that's what people are saying, and which I don't think Shannon Sharp wants to understand. We want to make less more because without the albatross and the absolute anchor that LeBron is, you can actually make moves to surround Luka to actually heighten his effectiveness and hide some of his deficiencies.
Yeah, let me just add something real quick to both of these guys' points. Steph Curry is no better a defender than Luka Doncic. But when the Golden State Warriors won 4 championships with Steph Curry, they were either the number 1 or number 2 net rated defensive team league-wide those years, in those 4 seasons, because they built a great defensive unit around Steph Curry, and he was willing enough, and you could hide his deficiencies enough with that lineup. That is the great disservice that the Denver Nuggets have done to Nikola Jokic. They built this offensive lineup around Nikola Jokic when they should have been trying to build the Oklahoma City Thunder. And look, you saw it with, I believed that Luka was a poor defender for years and that he couldn't win at a high level in the NBA until I saw him get to the NBA Finals with the Dallas Mavericks and Kyrie Irving, who isn't lighting it up on defense. But the other complementary pieces on that Dallas Mavericks team around them made it work. And the Mavericks were an elite defensive unit during that entire postseason run. They just ran up against, quite frankly, a much, much better team in the Boston Celtics. But Luka showed that he can be a willing defender if surrounded with the right pieces. He just doesn't have those pieces right now.
I think I'm going to make the executive decision because I'm running a little long on time here. Scap and Dre, I'm going to let you go. Steve, I want to talk to you about Warren Sapp. He's leaving the Colorado Buffaloes. He's the gold jacket era at Colorado is over. Marshall Faulk is now the head coach, I believe, at Southern University. Warren Sapp is headed out of town for greener pastures or somewhere. What do you make of this? Because I've seen some people speculate that Warren Sapp wanted to be the defensive coordinator, didn't get that job or responsibility, and he said deuces. I have not heard that from Warren. Don't read anything into what I'm saying. I'm telling you the speculation I saw on the internet.
I just have a question. This has not been cleared up. Did he grab a lifeboat off the Titanic? Or was he just pushed off the boat? Was he like Jack? Rose, have a good life. Blah, 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 blah. And he just sunk to the bottom, man. Never seen from again. Poor guy. That's the question that I have. And there have been rumblings, and you might want to get Big Matt. Okay, because he has flat out said Warren was lazy. He did whole shows on it.
Really?
Yes. There was a show that he did. I was in Bryan, Texas. I was for the Miami A&M game, and I'm watching YouTube or listening to YouTube while in my rental car. And Matt McChesney did an hour show talking about, in the middle of this recruiting and portal season, why is Warren Sapp being a judge at a beauty contest? And I think I may have sent you that show. Obviously, you didn't look at it. There have been rumblings about, hey, is this guy all in? And so, I don't want to make any accusations, but Matt's pretty plugged in there. He's not sad to see him go. I'll tell you that much. So, but again, the question is, was he pushed out or did he leave on his own volition? I think that is a key factor here.
If you had to guess, what do you think? I mean, Robert Livingston leaves, and 24 hours later, Warren Sapp, couldn't you see it as like Warren Sapp wanted to be the defensive coordinator, or Warren Sapp, there's speculation he may be following Livingston to the Denver Broncos?
I get the sense, this is just my gut feel. He looked around and he also said, wait a minute, I'm not exactly working with Joel Steed and Alfred Williams here. I'm not paid all that much because Colorado, again, they're not paying like an SEC school at the upper level. He's made it clear in the past he doesn't want to work a lot of hours. He's flat out said it. He actually said, I could never work for Mario Cristobal. He works you too hard. Well, okay. I actually think, you know what, I've done this for a couple years. I'm good. I will say, based on what they have coming back, what the season might look like, that he probably said, you know what, this might be the right time to leave.
I want to add this context. I've seen interviews with Sapp saying he thought one thing going into the coaching process, and then once he got into it, he thought like, man, this isn't work. I love being here. I love being around the kids. I love putting in the long hours that, you know, and he's surprised by that, or he surprised me with those statements, and he was surprised by how much he just loved putting in the work and time. So want to just offer that up as a defense. I'm partial to Warren Sapp. Everybody knows it. I have a bias towards Warren Sapp. I'm surprised to see an all-time great Miami Hurricane being sold out by you, but
well, now wait a minute. I am just here to give a fair and balanced take. I have a lot of respect for Warren Sapp, but again, he's not one of the more beloved guys across the board. I'll just leave it at that when it comes to Miami alum. Okay, that's the truth. It is what it is.
That's your opinion. That's your
no. That's a fact. That's actually a fact.
I haven't had nothing but, you know, peaches and cream between Warren Sapp and myself. I love Warren. And,
look, I have no issues with Warren, but I'm just relaying the facts, and there's more information. You're right. He has said, I love coaching, but I actually think this could be good for Colorado in one sense, right? You've been very critical of the fact that it's a gold jacket coaching staff, that you need real hard-nosed, blue blood coaches, right? Well, maybe this is a step in that direction.
Could be. That's a good note for us to end it on. I want to start a conversation, and we'll see. Let me know when Coach J.B. shows up. Oh, he's here already? All right. Well, no, we're going to start this Megan Rapinoe conversation, and then J.B. will just jump into it, Steve. So let me play you the clip of Megan Rapinoe talking about the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team and, you know, how she would have handled things if Cash Patel had shown up or Donald Trump had called. Play the clip.
I know what happens in those locker rooms.
Yeah, same.
People get brought in.
Oh, same.
Or
you have no say sometimes.
And all of a sudden,
it's happening.
You're in.
That's a great point.
You're in and you're like,
part of the truth.
Fuck. Like, all of a sudden, you're shaking the hand of
whoever.
Someone that you've railed on because, like, they're, you know, doing inequality against you, whatever, for just to put it bluntly. The choice point, and I don't know exactly who made this. Is it someone at USA Hockey?
No, it came out. The GM of U.S. Hockey is also the GM of the Wild. And I read an article, and I guess what I wasn't clear on, he might be friends with Cash Patel or like somebody. And I think that was the connecting point.
Okay. Fine. Whatever. The choice point is allowing yourself. And listen, if I always say this, like, I can't believe how people have such a lack of self-preservation. But if you don't think you're in threat, then you're not going to preserve. So they obviously didn't think that having Cash Patel or having Trump on the phone was a threat. So they're cool with it. But that's why you don't put yourself in this position. Because to have the president of the United States on the phone and he's like, hurt. It's hard not to be like, hurt. You know, like, you get yourself wrapped in this moment. Mm-hmm. So for me, the choice point is like, I would have never, as a captain or a leader on my team, I think you can say the same. I think that would have been clear to our staffs and to the larger organization and like support staff. Those people would never be allowed in our locker room.
So that's Eminem and Sue Bird talking about the U.S. men's hockey team. And man, our audience is getting a real treat here. Steve Kim and JB at the same time. I don't know if I need to say another word. Gentlemen, what do you think of Slim Shady here and her take on the men's hockey team? Somebody fire first.
I don't understand, retard. So I didn't hear anything she said. I don't listen to the gays. I'm so over it. It's beyond me right now. It's two carpet munchers sitting there talking to each other about male sports. Just stop. The oxymoronic stuff that we're dealing with these broads is unbelievable. She wants to be a dude. She looks like a dude. She's talking to another dude about dudes. Stop. I'm so tired of this deal. When did we divide the country so bad that we don't even have the American backing, the support of America to go to the Oval Office or to the President of the United States? I don't remember any sport team denying, because of policy, going to the White House for America. Now it's because they hate this man so badly that they'll put that over America. It blows my mind. I'm so shocked. I don't hate nothing, Jason. I really don't like the word. I'm building up something, man, with these people. I'm telling you. It's ridiculous.
Steve?
I don't know how I top that, but I'll just say this. She might be the captain. Who the hell made her the boss? I mean, hey, Megaroo, let me just tell you something. I don't think Kash Patel or Donald Trump would want to come in to that locker room. I don't think they would watch your games. I don't think they care enough. Let's have some perspective. I think they care about certain sports or certain teams. Yours ain't one of them.
It's so childish. It goes back. We're old enough. Remember cooties? Remember you got the cooties.
Yeah.
That's like if I talk to Kash Patel or I go to the Oval Office, I get the cooties, and I don't want to do that. It's childish. And this is, I hate to go right there with you, JB, but it's like, hey, these women need to talk less because they're exposing their stupidity. Just and I don't want to get cooties from Donald Trump. And if they came into our locker room, and you got to set up. It's the president of the United States. It's a high-profile head of the FBI, who's over in Milan and celebrating your victory. Why can't they be inclusive? They want everybody to include them, but they want to pick and choose who they get to exclude. It's a joke to me. JB?
I got a brother in the Air Force, obviously. He was a fighter pilot for many years. And I talked to him the other day. He was telling me some interesting things. First of all, the entire left side of what we used to call Democrats are now a demonic party for whatever reason. I have no idea. They're paid protesters. And he was breaking down this thing to me, and I was like, what? These people you just saw, Rapinoe and all these weirdos, they aren't necessarily completely Democrat or maybe far leftist or anything. What they are, they're in the waiting room to be paid next, to be the next paid protester. So they cannot go against being left out of that room, if that makes sense. It was actually a deep conversation, and I was like, made me think. I was like, interesting. So you got a bunch of paid protesters. Newsom's being uncovered every day out here in California. The fraud's going to quadruple what Minnesota had. And then you're going to find out that he paid over $100 million to paid protesters. We just found that out here in California. And I bet you that number is quadrupled here on the amount of people they pay to absolutely just have no clue what's going on in the world. But now all of a sudden they've got created signs, literally nicely made. And if you and I went to Kinko's and tried to make 20 by 20 signs, it would cost us $5,000. But everyone in LA has a sign now, ironically enough. And nobody can figure that this is just not normal. Like, nobody's figuring this out. Come on, man. These two right here are the next paid people to be that agitator. So I think that's what it is.
Let me give my interpretation or point of view on that, because you're right. But I can remember in 2017, I believe it was, I was living in Westwood, and I used to walk home from Century City, from the studios where we did the show, I would walk home. It's probably a 3-mile walk or whatever. But in 2017, I'm walking home, and on a pole, like a light pole or whatever, there was a poster or something.
One ad.
Yeah, one ad, and it was about being a protester. And if you could pull off the phone number, a little piece of paper, and you could sign up or volunteer, and they were paying you to protest and call people and harass people and whatnot. But what's going on with Rapinoe and Sue Bird and Jamel Hill and a bunch of people, men, women, whatever, this waiting room that you're talking about, JB, is they pay you in speaking engagements. There's so much money flowing through these universities that Jamel Hill can get $10,000-$20,000 for speaking at some university, some honorarium, blah, blah, blah. And as long as she's on the right message, she can get those speaking fees. I'll tell years ago, I spoke at Harvard. I spoke at universities all over the country. Once they decided, like, oh, man, this guy's too conservative, now no college will pay me to come speak. Not even Ball State won't even, because I'm not on the right message. If you're on the right message and have a bit of a profile, Megan Rapinoe can go somewhere and charge $50,000 for speaking to college kids on some campus. They just got this endless amount of money running through their endowments and all that. And so, yes, you have to be on the right message to get those checks. Same thing, to a lesser degree, same thing happening on the conservative side in terms of this. Again, I'm trying not, I don't want to be too hyper controversial today, but it's like when you're TPUSA and Erica Kirk becomes the CEO, she gets to decide who gets to speak at TPUSA events and who gets a check for speaking at TPUSA events. And if you say the wrong things, like I do, that like, hey, she should be at home taking care of those kids, not running TPS out, I will not be getting invited or any paycheck.
Are they her kids?
Yeah, yes, they're her kids. But
so let me ask you this. Stephen A. Smith is in this waiting room.
Yes.
And what's going on with Stephen A. right now that's interesting, that there's a tussle between the two. The right side that's paying and the left side that's paying. That's why you see Stephen A. go on his show and is complete conservative. And then when he goes back on Disney, he's complete woke. So there's a fight going on. He's going to end up taking the highest bidder, and that's what he'll end up being. Mark my words. And it was a crazy conversation I heard last night. That's why you see the back and forth between what he is. That's why I don't trust him ever. Of course, we don't. But at the same time, his personal show is conservative. He's straight Republican. Let's cut out the BS. And then on this side, he works for Disney. He goes back to being the woke joke clown that he is. So which one is it? Well, there's a tussle going on between what money he's going to accept and who has the highest bid. I'm just telling you, watch what happens. And don't believe it. Don't forget that George Soros was living in LA at the time you're talking in 2017 and was throwing all that stuff around. And I know that personally from a friend. That very interesting that you see those signs all over the place for the paid protesters and all that stuff. You had all this stuff going on way back then when they already probably knew that the pandemic was on its way. So I'm just telling you, it's really weird.
I think Stephen A's made his decision to run as a Democrat. I think he's accepted a bid. I think that Bob Iger and Disney leave him with no choice. Now he's trying to drive the price up, and so he'll, to me, pretend to be a Republican sometimes. But Stephen A mostly takes no position. I just saw something. Didn't I just see something yesterday or this morning where he said that I'm against abortion, but I'm personally against abortion, but I'm okay with abortion. He said both things. He took both sides. That on the abortion issue, he really takes no position. Because again, that's where the money is. If that's how you drive up the price, by not taking any actual position. Steve, you want to jump back in, or you want me to let you go and I can just sit here and chit chat with JB?
Well, I'll just say one last thing before I get to my weekend. I think what Coach JB is talking about is a cultural infiltration. None of this is by accident. There are no coincidences. But I also believe when it comes to like Megan Rapinoe, there comes a point we should just ignore her. Look, she's allowed to have her opinion. She can be anti-American. What I take offense to is that she seems to think every one of her teammates or all of USA Soccer should agree with her. And I think that's probably the thing that I find most objectionable. Have your opinion, but don't force it on me. And I think there comes a point in time with a Rapinoe and those of her ilk. We just need to ignore her and just move on.
Steve, enjoy your weekend. JB, Warren Sapp is leaving Colorado or has been pushed out of Colorado. The gold jacket era at Colorado is over. What do you make of Warren Sapp's departure?
What's the difference between Darian Hagan's departure, Sean Lewis' departure, the DC that went to the Broncos departure? What's the difference between Marshall Faulk's departure? They're all the same. He hires guys that have names, not guys that want to grind and coach. He's hired 4 guys that have never been into a house to do a home visit to recruit a kid. And just because they were Hall of Famers, he thought that was going to be success. I said 3 years ago, this is a joke of a staff. It's the worst staff. And I know Marshall well. At the end of the day, though, they've never coached it down of anything. And now you're going to put him right at the highest level and expect him to go out recruit Sark, Lane Kiffin, and at the time Saban and all these guys. Come on, man. This is a mockery. He has yet to show he can develop one coach, Jason. He has yet to show that I can go get the young GA and make a name for himself. Teach him every single part of the game, because Deion don't know every single part of the game. I had 13 coaches I hired. 9 of them were unpaid at Indy on Netflix. 13 of them are coaching Division I football right now. Not one of them could draw a card. They didn't know how to dorm check. They didn't know how to check a kid and follow and run a room, control a room, recruit his own position, manage a kid. Nothing. They had no idea. So he's hiring these guys who have names to come in, but then you don't have the guy underneath the name that actually is the grinder doing all the work. See, you can hire names as Saban has hired guys. Sark was an analyst for a while after he was fixing his name after the SC thing. Lane Kiffin after the whole FAU thing and all that. This stuff, you can do that. But look at who was actually controlling and running everything. Real dudes. He had Kirby Smart still. He had Jimbo Fisher still. He had Bill O'Brien still. He had all these big-time guys that actually knew how to coach. So you have the face. You could have the big name. But who's doing the work? Colorado has either. So you are seeing this thing fall flat on its face. And what they allowed on their social media yesterday that I had to do a show last night about was unbelievable with the kid.
Do tell. I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't seen this thing?
No.
They do that game, you know, the game where they have the little, the bars that drop and you got to catch them?
Yeah.
And then the guy laid on his back and caught one with his mouth.
Could we grab this video while...
You got to see my video I did myself on it. But anyway, I had Matt come on my show last night and did an emergency 1-hour show last night. For him to allow that on their social media. And then the caption was, I caught it with my mouth. This is on Colorado's TikTok, Instagram. This is a law. By the way, you're a man of faith and all this stuff you say. I don't know, man. Some of the stuff that's going on there seems to me like Hollywood got to him. Something's going Hollyweird, I should say. Something's going on in Colorado. And I'm going to tell you, I got a personal text message last night from a lot of people that left there. They're like, man, I'm so glad I'm out of that place. So I think Warren Sapp saw that video and ran to the car. So, man.
Let's play the clip. We got it. Let's play the clip.
Oh, you supposed to hold him. Oh, I supposed to hold him? Oh. Yeah. Hey, catch one in your mouth. Oh my. Oh!
You don't have to film everything. You don't have to release everything.
And the kid said, catch it with your mouth. The other kid.
I heard him.
Jason, that's why Rapinoe has a voice, because we feminize this game. And you know the crazy part about it is the women, American sports playing women versus the American sports playing men. The men flew in on Friday to Miami after winning the gold, the same as women did, by the way. The women had already released a disclaimer. We can't make it to the White House, blah, blah. The men came in at the same time, Jason. Why were they so gung-ho to go to the White House and said, we're absolutely going? Women in this country, for some reason, especially the women that play American sports, are so anti-American, and this feminist movement thing, it blows my mind. And every woman I talk to who's basically conservative, they're like, I don't get it. Like, why would you not want to go to the White House? I didn't care who was at the White House. I want to go to the White House. This is an anti-American push. It has nothing to do with anything else. You can tell. So if Obama invited them, you don't think they'd show? Come on, man. I don't understand the whole thing against America. If you wave American flag out, you're racist now. If you have you should see the stuff I hear, man, or I see. I'm just telling you, it's unbelievable. But why are the women so anti-American that play sports in America? That's the question I have. And you've seen it trickle down between Caleb Williams painting his nails, Ryan Williams at Alabama, the kid for the 76ers who just got traded from Duke, who has a nail line. And then you see this kid getting on his back, opening his mouth for a glizzy. What's going on? Come on. Hey, we coming sure does have a definite definition now, don't it? See you, M-M-I-N. Wait till you see that. See you, by the way, Colorado University, U-M-M-I-N. We got a problem.
Here's what the problem with Deion, and because Deion had so much talent. I mean, he had so much talent as an athlete.
Oh, yeah.
That he actually thinks that the swagger and the confidence and the over-the-top flashy stuff was why he was successful. He's an idiot. He doesn't realize, man, God bless you with an amazing amount of physical talent, and you had just a physical advantage, and so the details didn't matter for Deion. And he actually thinks, it was my gold chains, it was my swag. That's what made me this and that. He's not crediting God and the gifts he was given. He's crediting himself for all this extra BS. And so Deion thinks and thought that, man, I'm such a big celebrity, and if I bring in other celebrities as coaches, kids are just going to want to come to play for us because we're cooler than Lane Kiffin and everybody else we're recruiting against. And why wouldn't, we're going to have rappers. We're going to make sure there's great weed here in Boulder. And it's just going to be fun. And he's finding out, and again, you were saying it at the very beginning. I certainly was. There's a substance and a grind to football that Deion's never had an interest in because he's never had to. When you have that much talent, you don't have to grind like everybody else. And he pretends like he grinded like everybody else, but the facts are he didn't. And now that's why every year there's a new theme to Deion and what they're doing in Colorado. It's never the same thing. It's this year it was about Shador and Travis when they got there. Then it was about, I got these former NFL coaches. Remember, he was bringing NFL coaches, Pat Shurmur, and I can't who the defensive coordinator. We're bringing NFL coaches.
Zimmer, yeah, it's Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, we're bringing NFL coaches in to coach college football. Then now we're bringing gold jackets in to coach college football. It changes from year to year, and man, football is old school, man. It's old school, and
Jason, you know what that's called? It's called, I'm gonna say the good word on your show. It's called throwing crap at the wall and seeing if it sticks. That's what we used to call it in football. So when I would see an assistant do that with his position group or what have you, or in total and just in overall his whole makeup and how he operates, and he's throwing crap at the wall every day to see if it sticks, I have to fire you. Deion is a coach that should have been fired. And if you tell me that Rick George didn't see the writing on the wall and exited early, you guys are smoking something really, really good. Because I'm just telling you right now, Rick George got out for a reason. He didn't get out because, oh, I love Deion. It's time for me to go. No, it's not. It's not time. It wasn't time for him to go. That's the university he's been at for 35 years. That guy didn't want to go out like this. He wants to go out knowing he's the AD that retired Shadur Sanders' number. Come on, man. Before Darian Hagan gets retired? Stop. He wasn't that guy. So you can't tell. See, it's so ridiculous. And wait till that 30 for 30 comes out one day that Rick George didn't want to leave. So I'm just telling you, I think this is a throwing it at the wall, Jason, see what sticks. And now what happens is that never wins. That never works. You might hit lightning in a bottle one time and have a decent 9-win year, get more talent, But other than that, you're seeing what it really does. And the averages, the law of averages, he's 16 and whatever, 21. So like at the end of the day, you can't throw crap at the wall in this game. You gotta, and it can't be from the head guy, Jason. You gotta have a rhyme or a reason. There has to be a culture set. You have to have there has to be some sort of mission statement in hand. I got to know what I'm going after when I hire my staff. Jason, he's hiring a staff every year that is just a bottom line, a name. They're a name. There's no rhyme or reason with the staff. First of all, Jason, if I build a program, I'm looking at a bunch of young analytical guys that know computers, Excel spreadsheet guys. I understand how to break down film guys. Those are my young guys. Then I'm finding my grinders who I know can control the room and recruit. And then I'm finding my O-line coach, who's the number 1 hire on my staff. Then my DC, number 2 hire on my staff. And then the offensive coordinator I can find when I just throw up something into the air and see what drops now. Because everything's the same now. RPO, tempo, spread out. Come on now. I can do that myself. So at the end of the day, we have to figure out what is our mission statement with the staff. He has none, Jason. Just look over the last 3.5 years. It's throwing crap at a wall, seeing if it sticks, if he hits lightning in a bottle with a certain coach or not. Why do you think these coaches are leaving like they are? Why do you think they won out like they are? Why hasn't a young coach under Deion made a name for himself yet? And here's the crazy part. Well, Marion will. Marion's been coaching for a long time. We grew up JUCO together. He's not that young, and he's been coaching quite a while. He didn't just hit lightning in a bottle at UNLV as an OC, by the way. He's been all over the place. He's going to go there, and then what happens is he'll make their offense better, and then they'll say, Deion, it's because of Deion. No, it's not. This guy was already developed. He's already been at places. So look at what Sean Lewis is doing at San Diego State after he left Colorado. Like, he's had pretty good, decent season at San Diego State last year now. So I'm just telling you, this is a bad way to manage and CEO a college football team, and especially when you don't recruit your home state, your backyard, or high school or JUCO. And it's biting them in the butt right now because they don't have the resources to compete against the big dogs.
JB, I'm going to give you a chance to finish really strong here. Good opportunity for you to repent from your Fernando Mendoza criticism. I want to play you this clip of Fernando at the Combine answering a question brilliantly. Be a great chance for you to go ahead and repent and acknowledge the great.
Did he say why he's not throwing? Is that what he said?
Let's play the clip, JB.
Number 1 overall, what would you say to the team that passed on you?
Nothing. There's so many great players in this class. I mean, we saw the Ohio State guys run yesterday. There's plenty of Indiana guys who are great in the draft as well, and I'm just honored to be a part of the group. There'll be no hard feelings. There's so many things that organizations and business they got to do for themselves, and I'm just trying to be the best me possible. And whatever team drafts me, I'm grateful, whether it's the number 1 pick or whether it's the 199th pick.
I got a little tear in my eye, JB. How do you respond to?
You gotta love a fake ass good boy. They're great people to follow. I guess you're not a good judge of character. So bottom line is this.
Why is that fake? That's what comes out of his mouth every time he talks.
See what happens with the beta male generation. This is what this generation is right here. This beta male generation is they only like things when they can benefit from them. It's called the gimme generation. They don't want to work, grind, or prove to you that they're always the same guy. Meaning, you saw him win a natty. You saw him throw 2 back shoulder throws, right? The only 2 balls he completed in the whole second half when Miami pressed the wideouts. So we know that's who he really is. So he throws these 2 balls. He wins a natty. You think he made the great Michael Vick run to win it. No, they blocked the punt. But anyway, so that happens, right? And then you say, all right, I go out on top. I'm comfortable. I don't have to prove nothing no more. Well, you do, because I saw you at Cal when you didn't have 26-year-old roster. And I saw you how you performed there. I need to see that guy. Then law of averages. We just talked about, Jason. Marry that up with what you did at Indiana on a 33 transfer roster from James Madison, who's 24 years old, the same age as the Green Bay Packers. And then I could come up with it. Did you hear Dan Orlovsky yesterday? Listening to me, finally? Oh, I've watched 9 games, and I'm not sold on this guy. You know why? Because he finally watched the real film. And we're not doing what's his name that's never right in the draft. I forgot his dang name, but Mel Kiper. Yeah, we're not doing a Mel Kiper anymore. He's going to actually go watch the film like I do. The guy isn't that good, Jason. I'm just telling you. I don't know why you guys are enamored, because he says great things. Hey,
Yes.
how's Tim Tebow? How'd Tim Tebow work out? Was that good?
Tim Tebow is an awesome human being.
So what does that have to do with football?
I think
What
it's
does that
worked
do with
out
football?
great for Tim Tebow.
What does that have to do with football?
Nothing. And
So we're talking about the number 1 pick, though, Jason, not a Bible study. We're talking about the number 1 football overall NFL pick. Why do we always include these things? Why does the truth have emotion? I'm talking about the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. I'm telling you he's not the number 1 pick. They should trade it. I'm telling you he's not going to make it in the NFL. It has nothing to do with his personal character. I have never said anything bad about the kid. I said I don't like crybabies.
You haven't said anything good about the kid, JB. The kid's got the right attitude.
I don't know
He's an
him.
amazing young man. He won the national championship. He led Indiana to the national championship. He won the Heisman Trophy. There's plenty of great things to say about Fernando Mendoza. You go out of your way to say negative things.
No, I don't. I don't know the kid. Why would I say something good? But I never said nothing bad because I don't know him either. All I do is judge his play. His play is average.
Why can't we judge the way he presents himself, the way he's carried himself, the way he's submitted? You're a head coach, JB. You're a head coach, and you see a kid submit to a head coach, and you can't celebrate that? That's what I was just in a conversation with my friend Tyler, business partner or whatever, and we were talking about his young kid and about the power of submission, and because his kid's an athlete. There's life and I'm like, you got to turn your kid on to Fernando Mendoza. There's life lessons. You're a coach. You see a kid surrender to his head coach and his coaching staff, and you can't celebrate that in an era where these kids all think they're smarter than the head coach and smarter than everybody?
No, I want subordinates that understand protocol. I don't want submissive people. That's what females do. I don't want you to submit. What are we talking about? This is the beta male conversation. I do not want a beta male running my organization in my locker room with a bunch of alphas, gladiators. And now, if you tell me, Jason, if you came up with the argument that JB, Mendoza's who the NFL is now, a bunch of beta male softies, then I'll say, you know what? It is what it is. We'll see how it works out. Maybe you're right.
Softy.
We got nail
we
painters.
Watched him in the national championship game, JB. Miami popped him in the mouth with an illegal helmet to the jaw. He never complained. He got up.
Football's horrible. Stop. This is anything. Well, who's going to win next year? James Madison?
I don't know or care.
That's my point. It's ridiculous. It's a mockery. American sports are dead. And just let's just go with that.
Well, I wouldn't blame that. I wouldn't put that blame on Fernando Mendoza. They wouldn't be dead if there were more kids like Fernando Mendoza.
Well, no, then it would have rainbows in the end zone and we'd all be happy. That's what that would be. At the end of the day,
you're trying to compare this dude to Caleb Williams, and there's no comparison personality-wise. This is a masculine man. Miami's one of their best defensive players. Hit him in the chin with his helmet. Nearly knocked him out.
What
the
is that
guy
going to
gets
do?
up and
What's that gonna
destroys
do?
Miami with
What's
one of
that
the
gonna do
greatest
when
runs
he,
we've ever seen in college football. And you can't give this kid credit.
So then you're saying you're describing a guy that you want to marry your daughter, not run a football team and be the head and be the quarterback.
Because you're right. Indiana went 0-16, not 16-0 with him as quarterback.
I run an organization. I'm one of 32 NFL teams. I can't draft a guy around a bunch of no guys and expect him to have success. So we've seen this movie before. So now are we just everybody gets a trophy now, Jason? Are you on that side of the house?
Let me say this. Let's take Darnell Smith, one of the great young men that works hard, grinds, good kid. Great, and kid to me, I'm 58. He didn't make it to the NFL, JB.
Right.
But I can still celebrate Darnell Smith for the young man that he is. And
of course.
Hell of a overachieved at Ball State, all conference type player, undersized, work ethic off the chain. I can celebrate that even though he's not an NFL player. I don't really care whether Fernando Mendoza has a great NFL career. I love the way he carries himself. I love what he accomplished in college football. I love his attitude of submission because young people need that. Young people need that example. All black, white, yellow, green, they need that example. He submits to male authority and leadership, and it's made him a better football player than perhaps his physical gifts.
Excuse me, I'm looking around because I was looking for Whoopi. I thought this turned into The View. I didn't know this wasn't. I thought now, so everyone gets a trophy now. You want everyone's feel-good story. Kudos to Jason Whitlock. You just turned over a leaf today, man. We're The View. I care about winning my damn games on the NFL level, and this guy ain't that guy. So we can talk about the great kid and marry my daughter all we want. That's not what this is about. Stop. See, Jason's trying. See what? Hey, all you guys listening? Jason, what he does is he's such a great journalist. He's flipping the narrative to assassinate my character to make me the bad guy because I don't like his play on the football field. Now it's a personal attack on his character. Stop, Jason. Stop manipulating your audience. They see through it. This is not The View. Whoopi's not here. We're going to make sure we're talking football, brass tacks, number 1 overall pick. Trade the pick, Raiders. Trade the pick. You'll thank me later. And then go marry my daughter. Great kid. Love the guy. Yay.
JB, based off of everything you said here, are you flying to Atlanta for Magic City night with the Atlanta Hawks? I'm sure
What's
you're
that?
in full support of, huh?
What is that? I'm totally out the loop on that one. What's going on there?
You don't know what they're doing in Atlanta?
No. I haven't watched an NBA game all year.
Do you know what Magic City is?
The bar, yeah, I remember. I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, the infamous strip. They're having Magic City night on March 16th. They're celebrating the strip club Magic City. The Atlanta Hawks are. Magic City night, Monday.
Wait, they're playing there?
Yeah. The Atlanta Hawks are hosting the Orlando Magic, and they will be celebrating the strip club Magic City. This is a team-sponsored event. T.I.'s coming in to host the pregame deal and to rap, and they're serving lemon peppered chicken wings from Magic City. They're celebrating Magic City.
Lemon Lou's there? Lemon Lou will be there?
They're celebrating Magic City at an NBA game. This is when I celebrate Fernando Mendoza. This is what I'm talking about. They've turned the whole thing into this corrupt, degenerate deal. And here you got Fernando Mendoza juxtaposed against a group of bad bunnies they're bringing to the NBA.
I'm with Steve. Let's not give her no attention. See, I'm with Steve. I'm worried about play on the field. Now, are the girls going to dance?
No, they're saying no girls, but they're having
I can't support that then. If the girls came on the sideline or something, then maybe I'd tune in. But nah, Lemon Lou won't be there. No girls. I can't do it.
All right.
You got 50 Cent T.I. beef going on. There's a lot going on in the streets, man. We gotta ignore it.
Bye, JB.
So far, Jason, on your show, Rapinoe.
We trashed Rapinoe.
Great
Trashed.
character.
Fernando
great character. Horrible
Mendoza's
football
worthy
player.
of being celebrated.
We touched on The View. We've turned this into The View a little bit. It's crazy, man. Great Friday. I'm going to be on the yacht all day. It's 85 degrees here. 85 on the yacht. I didn't do a show. I'll be back Monday, revamped show. So we'll be back Monday. But yeah, I'll be on the yacht all day thinking of you. Thinking of you and the fall from grace that has occurred on this show today and how we became The View suddenly overnight. Seemingly overnight. I can't get over. I'm going to call Steve Kim right now. I'm going to shed a tear.
Have a great weekend. Peanut Gallery. It's time. What happened today? What are the highlight moments? What's the best and worst of JB? Luke, you can fire first.
Yeah. This has just been a bit of a wild show. Magic, Magic City Strip Club.
Yeah.
JB's out here talking about glizzies. We coming. Pause. We used a pause from last week. It's been interesting, but it's been comedic. It's been good.
I hope that my audience isn't offended, and I'm discipling. I'm working on JB. We're gonna get JB straightened out. You got to meet people where they are. We're working on JB. Justin, highlight from today's show or the week?
Yeah, I just can't wait for the JB Whitlock fight on Netflix waiting to come.
There's no chance of me fighting anybody on Netflix. I don't think I could climb into the ring, and I don't. I find JB humorous, and someone that I just got to keep praying about and praying for, and continue just putting him in the right conversations till the scales come off his eyes. We had a great show, and y'all all think JB was the highlight. That's the only thing you guys remember?
I wouldn't say that. I love the contrast between kind of the way we started and with the Meg Rapinoe stuff, like how the contrast of how they're covered. So you're covering the Trump stuff, and that little thing becomes a national story, and then this whole Magic City night is a non-factor for ESPN. And then I thought JB made a good point. Was another contrast, Stephen A. Smith being conservative.
Did we order the ticking clock for Peyton? Did we order that yet?
Well, you asked me what was good about the show.
Well, go ahead, finish your point.
Being conservative on YouTube and woke on Disney, it's a very good indication of the whole culture in general, I think. And then Mendoza, I would say in that video, Mendoza says that, hints that he doesn't mind being the number one pick or the 199th
Is Peyton
pick.
AI, actually? Is this an AI answer to my question
Tom
about
Brady
the show?
was the 199th pick. So
Yes.
it was an interesting
Yes,
nugget.
he actually is that photo in the graphic.
That's what I like.
Yeah, Luke's got the hat on. Peyton's got the wild hair. I don't know if he what.
I got a haircut last week.
You did? Peyton, it looks like, if I had to predict, your dad has gone bald already. I think you're no.
No, we got good hair genetics.
You do? It looks to me. It looks like you're gonna have a receding hairline. Anyway, Luke, I saw you holding the mic like you had a final thought. No, he doesn't.
I forgot. I don't remember.
Luke's a metalhead, if you guys don't know, and he sounds like it, talks like it.
Yeah, go bump. Lamb of God drops in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the weirdest combination of music, whoever he just referenced, and then Usher. That would be on his wall of fame. Usher and whoever these metalhead idiots are. I don't know.
No country.
That's quite a. Yeah, that's the other problem. He doesn't like.
Oh yeah.
music.
Speaking of that, you're getting a lot of comments in the chat about Adele behind you.
Good or bad?
Yeah.
I love Adele, and I will never apologize for loving Adele.
Rich Paul's wife?
Are they married now?
I don't know. I think so, maybe.
Well, anyway. All right, that's it. That's all. Thank you guys for watching. No Harmony today. I will have a comment on. We will go back to Harmony on Monday and talk some more about Candace Owens and her docu-series on Erica Kirk. I just had so much going on yesterday. I didn't have time to watch episode 2. I didn't have I don't know what happened. I was very busy yesterday. Had enough time to digest the sports stuff for today's show. I'm out of steam. I've been up late 2 nights in a row. I've, had cocktails and been entertaining 2 nights in a row. I got to get some sleep. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week.